You know, we really should have taken more classes during our senior year. We have entirely way too much time on our hands.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
Welcome back, good-looking people, to your weekly deep dive into that 90s classic show known as Boy Meets World. I am one of your two dads of Dads Meet World, Tyler, joined as always
And
by...
I am your other dad of Dads Meet World, Brett.
Yes, not Dads Meet World Fever to be confused with last week's episode.
That's right. Thanks again to Chance for joining us last week.
Yes, always having... I like when he pops on because it gives us a different perspective, but also it's someone that knows the episodes as well as we do, so... and has thought through the episodes as much as we do, and I don't feel like we sound as crazy.
That's right.
Yeah, basically. So Brett, how's it going with you? Anything new? How you feeling? What do you want to talk about?
I was sick Friday.
Ooh, that's not good.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Vacation's over. Time to go back to work. I've been back to work.
Yep.
I was back to work one day, and then I was sick the next day, so I had to take a sick day already.
Nice.
2 days into the new year, and I've already taken a sick day. No, just the kids are about to go back to school tomorrow, and yeah, so it's nothing new and exciting here this week to write home about. What about you guys out there? We got a lot of snow, finally.
We
2 weeks
got
after
hit snow.
Christmas. Yeah,
I mean, we had consistent snow right before Christmas. Right after Christmas, it went away for like a day, and then we got hit again.
Yeah, we had nothing on Christmas. We had nothing on New Year's. And then Friday and Saturday, we're recording here on Sunday. We got, based on what accumulated on the table in our backyard, we got probably a good 5 inches, maybe close to 6 over the span of about a 24-hour period. They were pretty good on the roads. They kept up with it. But
nice.
yeah, so we finally got snow this winter all at once. Yep. Would be nice to spread out a little bit. Would have been nice to have it on Christmas, but yeah.
It is nice having it on Christmas. I am always sad when we have a green Christmas in Pennsylvania. Yeah. It just doesn't feel right.
It's sad. It's wrong to have a green Christmas in Ohio, even though historically we're kind of green Christmas every other year. But we've had a green Christmas for a couple of years now.
Well, speaking of green bread, I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh. Are you going to turn into the Hulk?
No. There's another popular culture figure that is green that my wife has been desperately wanting to watch said movie of. And so it came available. And so my wife bought on Prime Wicked.
Bought or
Wicked,
rented?
as it should be referred to as Wicked Part 1.
Oh, yes. Kelly and Abby went and saw that last week while I took the boys to see Sonic 3 because Asher definitely would not sit through a almost 3-hour-long movie.
It wasn't 3 hours. It was
2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh. I only know that because our movies started within 5 minutes of each other and ours ended almost an hour before theirs did. I had time to take the boys home, drop them off, take the ladder I borrowed from my dad back to him, talk to them, put gas in the van, and go back to pick them up.
I mean, admittedly, I told her, like, I have no interest in watching the movie. And so I said, if you want to watch it, if you want to buy it, I support you. And so she did, and she watched it, and I was doing dishes while she was finishing it up. And I walked in once it was over, and I said, well, what'd you think? She goes, I'm so happy I rented it, or I bought it. And He goes, I think you now need to watch it too. And I was like, that's fine. I said, if you wanted me to watch it, I will watch it. I have no desire to, but I will. And admittedly, it was pretty good.
Mhm.
And even I was able to bring my, movie thinking, always trying to connect the dots. And I said something to her that she went, huh, I've never thought about that before. I'm like, well, there we go.
All right.
So what I think my problem is a lot of the stuff around movies right now. I don't know if it was just 2024 and even into now of like there's just so much complication and meh around every movie that comes out. Like it's almost like we as a society are getting on board of like you want us to feel a certain way about a movie before we go see it instead of just putting a trailer out and saying who's interested. And so I got the ick from a lot of the stuff I saw about publicity and a lot of the stuff that the actors would say and do. And I just was like, there's more complication of just saying, hey, we have this movie that we've always wanted to put out. We finally got it out. Here it is. And it was like just so much more blech that was, for all the promotion stuff. And it just, as a white guy, straight white man, I went, this isn't for me.
Mhm.
And that's okay.
Not everything has to be.
No, not everything has to be for me. I have plenty of things
Nor
that's for
should
me.
everything be.
Correct. But no, I enjoyed parts of it and I understood why they made certain choices that they made. And I get some of the stuff from the trailer that they wanted to have in there, but theatrically why it wasn't in the trailer and all that jazz. And I maybe just the way they edited the trailer just kind of also messed me up too. Because people took the trailer sound bites and used that for TikToks, and I got into TikTok right at the wrong time. So, but I would give it a passing grade, that's for sure. I would take my wife to go see the second part.
Okay, good to know. You'll have to let us know what you grade the second part.
hmm Well,
I'm
I
not
feel like
against seeing it myself. I would have gone to see it with everyone else. Toby would have loved to see it, I'm sure, but Asher definitely wouldn't sit through it. We have a tradition to take the kids to go see a movie for Christmas, and
mhm.
I know he wanted to see a Sonic 3. Toby enjoyed seeing Sonic 3, so
Mhm.
yeah.
Hey, how about the Sonic franchise being the only thing that Jim Carrey wants to make a movie in now?
Yeah, the only thing he'll come out of retirement to make a movie for.
He's basically hibernating until the next Sonic movie goes into
Basically,
production.
yeah. Although he did have a comment that he might not have been happy that he didn't get paid double for acting in 2 roles for this one.
I think the man's fine.
Yeah, I think he might be okay. But anyway, enough
Yeah,
talk about
let's get to
other
another 90s classic,
franchises.
Brett.
Let's talk about this 90s classic. Let's talk about Boy Meets World and Honesty Night, which, good looking people, is the 21st episode of Boy Meets World Season 5. We are coming down the end stretch. Only 3 more episodes after this. Cory and
Crazy.
Topanga are back together, but decide to keep it a secret from Shawn because they didn't tell him first. They pretend to still be arguing to make Shawn think he is the one who reunited them. This episode was written by Steve Hibbert. This is the last of 6 episodes written by him. He wrote such gems as Singled Out, Chick Like Me, Security Guy, and The Witches of Pembroke, and a couple others. Directed by Alan Meyerson. Originally aired... Good looking people, give me one moment because I did not fill in this part of the information here.
Uh-oh.
I didn't put in the air date. Yeah. I didn't put in the original air date of this episode.
That seems like a silly thing to miss, sir.
130 some episodes we've recorded, and this is the first time I've actually done that. Originally aired Friday, April 24th, 1998. This is
There's
yeah.
a little bit of a week gap in there.
Yeah, let me look back at my notes. This is the
Oh, it must have been Easter.
24th, and previously it was Starry Night, which was April 3rd. So this was about 3 weeks after. Yeah. So there we go. 3-week break between them getting back together and here. This currently has a 7.5 IMDb rating. It's a little over a half point rating, 0.6 lower than Starry Night, and is tied for 20th place on the season with It's Not You, It's Me. This is actually the lowest rated episode remaining this season that we will watch. So last week's last week's for our series, 3 weeks ago for the series Boy Meets World. Previously on Boy Meets World, the Nielsen ratings were 11.88 million. What do you think Honesty Night got after that 3-week layoff?
I mean, it needs to go down at least a little bit. I'm gonna be optimistic. We'll go like 10 mil.
Well, you're right, 10.06.
Nice.
Yeah. And there we have it. We are all ready to dive right into the 2.5 minutes of recap right at the beginning, which they needed after.
I mean, I will say, with 3 weeks in between, I get why there's a previously on Boy Meets World. Like,
Yes.
Maybe this is a good way for us to get into this, Brett, because the things that studios got away with in the 90s and before that of just airing episodes whenever they feel like it, and part of the 22 minutes is recapping a few minutes of previously on. Like, it just reminds me of Power Rangers whenever, like, back in the day, it'd be like 22 minutes, and literally they'd spend a minute going through, and today on Power Rangers. And it's like, just get us into the episode, man. Don't tell us. Just let's go.
Yeah, and fun fact, there are no guest there are no guest stars this episode. We have Jonathan Jackson and Linda Cardellini are both credited as guest stars, but they're just there in the previously on as in stock footage. Not stock footage, but recap footage.
I mean, they must have gotten paid at least a little bit for this episode.
Well, they had to get paid royalties to use the footage, so.
So yeah, previously on. Listen to the last couple of weeks episodes. You'll know what's going on.
Previously on Boy Meets World. Listen to the last 5-6 episodes of Dads Meet World to catch up.
Yes.
Cory kissed another girl. They broke up. Shawn got kidnapped, and
they got drunk.
And Topanga kissed another boy. And
but Eric went to Hollywood.
Together. Yes. I don't think they didn't cover that at all in the previously on. It was all Cory and Topanga.
Okay, but oh my gosh, hear me out, Brett. What if the stuff where Eric is in Hollywood is during the time period of Cory and Topanga getting back together?
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Right. That's the only way it can make sense to me, because otherwise, why?
Yeah, because that had to have been spread out over. Because we're going to find out it's been this breakup spans 53 days.
53 days.
Eric's stuff had to have spanned a couple of weeks.
Hopefully.
To get him building the set, him standing in, him getting reviews, him going out, him getting Juilliard, RSC, and ABC visiting, him going out to LA and coming back from LA. That's got to be at least a couple of weeks. So I'm okay with all that happening during the breakup stuff.
Yeah, me too. So yes, they see Mr. Feeny, and they both say simultaneously, "Morning," all chippery. Um, Literally, the moment this episode started, my wife looks at me and goes, "Ugh, is this the dumb episode where they're back together, but they didn't tell Shawn?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Oh, I hate this episode." I'm like, "But we have sassy Feeny." And she goes, "That might be
Yeah.
the only thing that redeems it." So yeah, so Feeny notices they're back together, and they had to have told Shawn, and he must be thrilled. And Cory goes, "Oh no, I didn't tell Shawn." And Topanga, who is the one who started the get back together train on this evening,
Mhm.
said, "You should have told Shawn before you told me."
Yeah. I mean,
In
really?
in in actuality, he did tell Shawn they were getting back together, just not
He
when it
told Shawn
happened.
every day they were going to be back together.
Mhm. Yeah, but I like how I like how the last couple weeks they made it clear that Cory is moping around. Cory is not enjoyable to be around. He's a drag. He spent the last 53 days being miserable. And now
Mhm.
they turn and Shawn is the one who is distressed and mopey and miserable.
Mhm.
And it's like Shawn was making fun of Cory. He was either saying, "No one wants to be around you, including me," and then literally mocking Cory every single time he
Yeah,
brought up
he's Cory the
Topanga.
Mope in If You Can't Be With One You Love, and Shawn gave up on them getting back together in
Hmm.
Starry Night. Cory's got that line about it's interesting being the only one in the world that believes this is going to happen.
Hmm. Yes, but we get our first Feeny sassy line, which
Oh
is
yes.
Ho
"Ho
ho!
ho."
Is that the stupid idea train coming round the bend?
I love how they're just not paying attention to Feeny. And Corey's like, "Yes, this is a great idea. We're gonna convince Shawn that he is our last hope for getting back together. That we want to be together, but there's something getting in our way." And Feeny's just sitting there, just all aboard.
All aboard!
Oh, sassy Feeny, I love
Oh,
you.
yes. And of course, there's only 5 words, Brett, to describe the situation right now.
If I may, 5 words. Topanga is correct.
That's only 3.
You moron.
I love when Feeny calls Cory a moron anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a little more George we're seeing at school, which is not like him.
Totally.
But also, you're a month or two away from graduating. Your teachers start treating you a little less like you're a
Oh,
kid.
this has got to
eventually.
be just like a couple of weeks away from graduation.
Yeah. So it's just so funny.
I mean, this is April real world time.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Woo woo!
This is like weeks away.
Yes.
This is the end of April.
They describe Shawn as bleeding for them.
Oh yeah. This is very melodramatic here. All of
Mhm.
this. It's I gotta say, this whole plan, as much as it's played for laughs, the plan to involve Shawn, what they draw up, it's so dumb. It hurts my brain. And building him up as the last hope, it's incredibly manipulative and hurtful toward him.
Mhm.
It is very insensitive toward him. And I'm hesitant to throw the word gaslighting around lightly, but it
Oh,
really is gaslighting him.
this is gaslighting, without a doubt.
100%.
Yeah. So here's the part that bothers me the most in this whole episode is everyone knows they're back together. There are a group of girls that walk by. Congratulations.
How is
Like,
Shawn so oblivious? I know
right.
he's sad and depressed, but how is he not? If everyone else knows, this group of random girls, Feeny knows, Angela knows, how is Shawn so oblivious even through the depression?
Mm-hmm.
I can still pick up on a whole lot when I'm wrestling with depression.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that in the midst of depression can still pick up on a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Brett, how many times have you been just kind of in your own head and all of a sudden looked over like, wait, my child is talking to that person very intensely. Who is that person? I don't know them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy to pick up on things. Sean's
Mhm.
not dumb.
It should not be hard for Shawn to see that they're back together. Just the fact
No.
they're side by side and talking should be enough for him to go, they're back
Yeah.
together.
They're not exactly hiding the fact that they're going to make out in the middle of the school, laying on top of each other on that filthy couch.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how it's labeled as seniors only finally.
Yeah.
But
something must have happened that was,
Brett, his girlfriend knows.
his girlfriend is in on the plan.
So if his
And likes the
girlfriend
plan.
knows, if his girlfriend knows and the two of them talk to each other, why didn't they already talk about this?
Why didn't she say, hey, isn't it great? I mean,
Yeah. But they start
communication.
saying mean things about each other, bimbo lips, Brillo head. They really need to work on this. They're mad at each other situation.
Lipo lip, nasally voiced so and so. I need more time.
Mhm.
It is kind of funny that Cory can't really come up with. He's like halfway there.
But yes, it's I also love this starting up of you sicken me, and even Feeny going, "You two sicken me. I don't want to be a part of this deceitful game." You, General Custard, he and his wife.
That a Little Bighorn, where they had a vacation home. Oh, I'm just too involved.
I mean, but in fairness, he's their neighbor. He's
Their
taught both of them
teacher.
for years. He
He's watched
encouraged one of them to leave her family, run away, and be with a
just
boy.
go back and look to his whole soliloquy back in Long Walk to Pittsburgh, really. Which, by the way, I'm completely stepping out of the episode here. Just found out a few days ago the actress who plays Aunt Prudence did pass away last week.
Oh,
Yeah. So R.I.P. to her.
yeah. She did a great
Yeah.
job. Oh, she had a very good acting career, if I remember correctly. A lot of the stuff in the theater.
She did. Yes, she did. She was, I believe, one of her biggest roles was in Romeo and Juliet,
Mhm.
if I remember right.
Which is why she was a big deal that episode.
Yes, it was. But yeah, so Olivia Hussey, yes. So rest in peace, Olivia Hussey. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet, Jesus of Nazareth, the original Black Christmas. Yeah, I mean, long and distinguished career, and she did a bang up job in the one episode that we got to have her.
Mhm. I wish we could have had more Aunt Prudence. I think it would have been really fun.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about how much we would have loved to have her, especially as a foil for Feeny.
Like even if they would have just had a couple episodes where Cory would like sneak into Topanga's room just to like spend time with her, and for him to get caught constantly by him.
Oh, would have been a great subplot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will. There, I understand that Cory and Topanga and even Shawn are all good, quote unquote, kids, but I wish we could have had more times of them being teenagers and getting caught doing dumb things and actually like not getting like severe punishments, but just enough that's like, well, that was dumb. Why were you being so dumb? Because they're
Yeah.
teenagers. Again,
Yeah,
this is
there's
the
a
season
lot
where
of teenage stupidity going on this week.
they wanted more collegey things for them to get into, more shenanigans that adults get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about the love dumplings.
Yes. I love every single time they're like, help us, Shawn. Help us. You're our only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's like I'm just thinking it's like a bad Star Wars parody.
Hmm. I just like how Shawn is very clearly like, you two have done horrible things to each other. Like, look at Topanga. She's like ice now.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I'm going to jump ahead in my notes. If they were really back together and they're really destined to be together, nothing he could say is gonna matter during this whole plan to get them back together. They really should not be reacting the way they are.
But
That bugs me. I know they're
But-
dumb teenagers, but if we're supposed to buy into this whole we're destined to be together and we finally figured this out, and this is not high school I love you, you love me, this is love, then nothing that is going to be said during this fake counseling session is going to matter.
But we talked about this last time, Brad. We had a very specific conversation with Chance. I remember because we talked about how she didn't go deeper than just "I love you,"
Yeah.
and they didn't have a deeper conversation other than just "let's be together." So
Very
yes,
true.
their feelings and their choice is for a lifelong commitment, is what they've communicated to us, the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But to each other, they have not.
Oh, no. And I'm completely there. I'm just saying, based on what they have communicated to the audience,
Right.
is that we are destined to be together. I love him with a love that goes beyond the high school love.
Right.
But, I'm going to be thrown completely off course by this fake answer that is given during a fake counseling session. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
All right. I do like how Shawn makes it clear, like, I bet if you just tell Cory you want to be back together with him, he'll come running.
She can burn in hell. Topanga is really odd that she is so into defiant Cory. It's like,
she likes having this little secret.
She really is into this secretive, let's hide everything from everyone. It's kind of a almost a dark Topanga. I'm not sure if I like it or not.
Well, it goes back to when Cory accidentally slipped that she likes to make purring noises when they're making out. Like,
yes,
there's a part of the two of them that we don't need to see or know about, and we're getting into that awkward territory of we're seeing it a little more than we should.
Mm-hmm. We really are,
but
we're
like
seeing
how
a little too much sometimes.
Yeah, I like how they're talking afterwards of like, she can rot in hell. Too much? Actually, it's pretty good at this.
Actually, I kind of like it.
I like how he tries to say, also, you're good at, and then she starts kissing him because field hockey.
I was going to say field hockey, but this is good too.
I mean, have we ever seen Topanga play field hockey?
No, I was just interpreting that as something he was just kind of making up on the fly, but
I do like how we go to Shawn, Jack, and Eric's apartment. All three of them are in a scene together. Just the three of them. No witches, no extra girls there. Just the three of them.
Three guys hanging out.
And so I like how because Shawn's trying to work this out. And he's like, hey, can I get some advice? What do you think? Like, how can we get them back together? Like, what's the deal? And I like how Eric is like, because they're estranged. And like, yeah, how did you, word of the day calendar?
Yeah.
The next word is estranged.
I do enjoy Eric's little runner here with his word of the day calendar. He's getting worse.
Mhm. Yeah, I do. I love the implications of the relationship that Jack and Eric have. Of Jack realizing that Eric is only getting weirder, but he
Yes.
likes him because they're friends.
It is a very meta realization for us that Eric is getting worse, and it is the show realizing it and telling us. And I did clip about Jack realizing Eric is getting that he likes Eric.
Residual, to leave over. Like if your mom makes a pot roast and you don't finish it. What you have left over is the residual pot roast. Residual.
You don't know what it's like to live here, man. You don't.
Why do you stay? Because he's my friend. Because I like him. And no matter what crazy things he says or does, I still like him. God help me, I still like him.
And I will say, Cory had no choice but to be roommates with Eric.
Mm-hmm.
He is his brother. They don't have an option. They had to be roommates. Jack is the first person that chooses actively to be in Eric's life, to remain in Eric's life.
Yeah, and the fact that he chooses to remain is huge. He may be, outside of Jason, Eric's first real friend.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And there are times I wonder if Jason really was his friend.
Well, the writers didn't want him to be a friend of his because he had to go to other shows.
Yeah. He had to go be a bigger star on Step by Step.
Yes. I do like how they make this is like the first internet joke I think they've made of www.howdysucker.com.
Yes. Yeah. That was a
yes,
good one.
we go back to the kitchen. Brad, we had an episode within an episode where we were in the living room and we're still back to the kitchen and no living room.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
This is a filler episode, period. They had 24 episodes this season. They're normally writing for 22, and for whatever reason, they were given a 24 episode order this season. This is a filler episode, plain and simple. This is one of those ones where they said, we need something. Let's go to our board and see what different things we can pull off. And, you know, it's credited as Steve Hibbert as the writer, but I guarantee you this was a team effort. And Steve just kind of pulled stuff together that everyone in the room was throwing out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're back in the kitchen, Brett, and Cory goes, Shawn, help us. Save our doomed relationship.
Yeah.
And I like how every time he says something, they're like, great, we're solved. We're fixed. Thanks. And he's like, no. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. Actually, I was thinking about it on my way here. And honestly, you two have done some horrible things to each other. Like, what type of psychos are you?
Oh, yeah.
And I like how he says, let's get into what you would change about each other. What is the thing that bothers you about the other person? And Cory, to his credit, tries to say, there's nothing I would change. You're perfect. There's nothing I would change. You're perfect. And he gets egged on by Shawn and by Topanga. And finally he says, what did he say? I lost it.
I'd say that he is like trying to emulate Dr. Phil, but Dr. Phil didn't premiere until like, I don't know, 4 years after this.
Yeah. He says, I never knew you could be so cold and unforgiving. And Shawn is like, terrific. Yeah, good job, Topanga. How do you feel about that? Terrible.
Her face is like,
Mm-hmm.
I got some screen caps of it because I can't do it justice. But
And then she says, "I can't believe what an insensitive jerk you are." I just love how Shaw's like, "This is great. We're really going in the right direction. Really getting a dialogue going." And Topanga decides, "I'm leaving," and so she walks
I'm
out.
done. She's
And
like,
Cory's
I'm
looking
done.
like
This is
she
over.
left. I just love how Sean's like, "I told you this is going to be tough." It's like, but she actually left.
Yeah, like she's gone. It's done. It's over. Kaput.
Do you have any of this little fight scene not fight scene, but little argument they have?
I didn't clip any of that. I
Oh, that's
clipped
okay.
afterward.
So I just like how he says, "You big stupid idiot."
Yeah, I clipped afterwards when they're talking, when Shawn and Cory are talking. In fact, let's talk about it. Let's bring that up.
You big stupid idiot! It's great. Let it out. You don't understand. We were back together. We just wanted to make you feel like you had something to do with it. What? You mean you didn't need my help, really? Hey, you'll forgive me if I don't feel bad for you right now. Well, what kind of stupid thing was it for you to care whether I'd put you back together or not? What are you, Humpty Dumpty? No, Shawn, you do not understand. We told Feeny first, okay? You would have been very, very upset. Wait a minute. You told Feeny before you told me? Yes. Who cares? The main thing is you're back together. But we're not now. You just broke us up again. You're just telling me that so I can put you back together again. I don't like your sick games, Cory the Mindbender.
You have to admit, Brad, the fun part of the ridiculousness of all this is that they are moody teenagers. They do hyperfixate and they overanalyze, they overthink, and at the end of the day, they're all dumb.
They really are dumb, and yeah, it's
Like-
amusing to watch the.
Ho ho! Is that the stupid idea train coming round the bend?
It's just, and now you're back together. Not anymore. You just broke us up again. Are you just saying this so I get you back together? I mean, okay, but let's be real for a moment, Brett. Cory and Topanga have been broken up for 53 days, which is not a long time in real world sense, but in high school feels like forever.
Mm-hmm.
So for these three, because Angela, I'm gonna say this, Angela's smart enough to not be a part of any of this, so I'm not including her in the three. For these three, this has been the longest 53 days of their lives at this point. And so I guess it would make sense that all three of them would have residual emotions over this whole thing. So Cory is finally letting out and actually communicating to Shawn at
Finally.
least. Shawn is at least making clear of like, I just want you guys to be happy. So getting back together is what's going to make you happy. Get back together. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
And then Cory says the most honest thing he possibly can say. We really should have taken more classes during our senior year. We have entirely way too much time on our hands.
Yes.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. I will say, I had multiple, I was an assistant multiple times my senior year. And there was a point that I went, I'm really wasting a lot of time here. I should have done something more productive my senior year.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
By the time I was a senior, I had like 2 classes I had to take. I had 1 class I had left to take that I had to take for credits.
Mm-hmm.
I took that at night. I did my work at night, and I worked because I was homeschooled. It was easy to do. I had 1 class left. I did my work for that one at night, and I worked a 40-hour-a-week job during the day. Because I was
Nice.
18. I could do that.
Mhm. Hey, once you're 18, even if you're in high school, you could work as much as you want.
Actually, no, I was 17. Because I didn't turn 18 till...
It's still, I'm blanking on it because it's been a while since I've done job coaching, but I think there's still a lot of flexibility within that, especially when it comes to the weekend.
There is at 17, so yeah. At least there was in 1999, so
Mhm.
they've
Yep.
the child labor laws were a little more flexible back then. So yeah.
Of course. So we go, Brett, back to the apartment of Jack, Shawn, and Eric, and they are trying to figure this out, for lack of better wording, as the quote unquote young adults that they are. We will solve the problem. The five of us, the core five of the show, and you have them try to vote on who's tired of the whole Cory and Topanga issue. Eric doesn't raise his hand. And then Jack says, "Who's tired of Eric?" And everyone, including Eric, raises his hand. And this is, of course, where we get the whole Jack chooses Eric, and
Mhm.
Eric feels appreciated and loved by his friend,
He
which is a
does.
nice moment, Brett.
It is a
Filler
nice
or
moment.
not.
Yes.
And then we go to the penultimate. We go to the important scene of the episode,
Yes.
Brett. We go to Chubby's, where everything important, of course, happens for the show.
Yes. Exactly.
Except for one moment on a monkey bars.
Jungle Jim.
We will fight in this during fun facts, okay?
Okay.
Deep dives, whatever we call them, I don't care. So, yeah, Amy and Alan come down to Chubby's, where Topanga and Cory are near each other, but not sitting at the same booth. And Angela and Shawn are in a different booth. And Angela's now worried about them. And, Amy and Alan are saying, "Hey, you got to come home because Morgan needs someone to be there when she gets home from art. We're going to go buy towels." How much of this do you have clipped, by the way?
I have clipped when they explain everything that's going on.
Okay, cool. So they'll explain the fight. This is fun. And so this is when immediately Alan's like, "Apparently your mother can't buy bath towels without me." And she's like, "I can buy them without you. I'm perfectly capable. But if I pick out the wrong one, then you're going to be upset about it. And I don't want anything to be too pink or too fluffy this time." He's like, "Buy whatever towels you want. I don't care. Just don't punish me for getting your mom's birthday. Because you didn't forget. You made a choice." Oh, sorry. I didn't forget. I made a choice. And apparently, he is a very insensitive jerk in this moment. Topanga says it runs in the family, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two of them are going back and forth, and Amy makes a dig at the Phillies and even says, "If you want to know what baseball is, go to Baltimore." This is the first time we're hearing that Amy might be a Baltimore Orioles fan.
Maybe.
Maybe that's the reason she was upset about the whole staying up late with the Phillies.
Well, maybe.
But okay, I will say this. Amy steps over the line. She says, "Give me the keys. You drive like a lunatic." Whoa. How dare you insult a man when it comes to his driving? So, yes. We get to the point, Brett, where he simply says, "Well, maybe I'll forget, I can't remember the exact date, but he says, maybe I'll forget your birthday." And Amy laughs and says, "That's your birthday." Then they're all cutie and they tell each other, "I just want you to listen to me." "Well, I will listen to you. You want to drive?" "No, I'll drive." "Okay." And they're just now back to being normal human beings.
Mm-hmm. Does this fight seem a little staged to you?
A little bit, yes. Almost a very intentional.
Yeah. Thankfully, our kids are the kids in the show are so dumb and they don't pick up on it. But Topanga is like, wait a minute, you guys were at each other's throats, and now you're all lovey-dovey.
And Cory says,
This
I was
is-
going to say that.
Yeah, this is about where the clip I have picks up.
All right.
What just happened here?
You two just said horrible things to each other and then got all lovey-dovey.
Hey, I was gonna say that. How come you say that when I was gonna say that?
Who cares who says it as long as it gets said?
Then what are we arguing about?
We sound like them.
Oh, no, we do. Why do we sound like you?
Because you love each other. No matter what crazy things he says or does, you still love each other.
Then why did we break up?
Because we're in high school, and you think you're supposed to.
But when two people are really in love, it doesn't matter that there are disagreements sometimes. It comes with the territory.
And when two people are really in love, they don't break up just because they have a fight. Love would be pretty dull if you agreed about everything.
Besides, then they'd never get to make up.
I gotta say, this might be my favorite hairstyle for Alan. But I also say, this is probably my favorite. This is my favorite scene for the entire the entire episode. Is the wisdom that Alan and Amy impart upon their son here and Topanga here. Just because you have an argument doesn't mean you break up. It's something you work through. If your relationship can't survive an argument, your relationship doesn't have what it needs to be a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, half the fun of an argument is making up.
Yep.
If agreeing all the time, love wouldn't be fun if you agreed all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, there's something just fun to be said about the things you do agree about, but the ways that you find the other person interesting is in the ways that you disagree and the ways that you figure out how to move past those disagreements.
Yeah.
I did wonder, Brett, if Alan and Amy, I mean, we have seen them get into spats in front of their children before, but we don't really see them get into actual arguments. So I've
Yeah.
wondered if they've kind of shielded their children from some of those disagreements and arguments.
I'm sure they've shielded them from some of the big ones.
So
I mean,
I don't want to say about all 90s parents, but I think that was a big thing in the 90s of we saw our families argue, so we don't want to show our kids only arguing. Which, the divorce rate was much higher for a lot of the people raising kids in the 90s. So I get that. I really do. But there's something to be said about your kids seeing a healthy and good argument, or at least just understanding of two people are not like, okay, I'll use today as a prime example. Both my wife and I were frustrated because on this weekend we have not done as much as we've wanted to. She went to go finish dinner and I was trying to get the table clean. And while I was getting the table clean, I was throwing stuff around because I show my emotions more towards anger. And she chose hers more towards sadness. And then we ended up having a conversation during dinner about how, it wasn't really fair that Daddy was angry and making people upset and, a little nervous. And but Mommy was allowing Daddy to feel his emotions and that, things ended positively, and I think sometimes 90s kids didn't always get to see that.
No, we really didn't.
But I like the way that they made it clear of you can say things that are insensitive, you can say things that are cold, and just because those things are stated, just because that happens doesn't mean you can't reconcile and make clear of that's not what I said, that's not what I meant. Okay, I just want to hear you, I just want to be near you.
Yeah, your kids need to be able to see an argument. Your kids need to be able to see arguing and conflict resolution to be able to learn how to do it themselves. Otherwise, they're going to get out into the world and they're going to get into relationships and not understand how to do it. Clearly, Cory did not learn how to resolve conflict in his own relationship with Topanga from what he saw Alan and Amy do.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah,
It really is.
it really is. So, I mean,
But also, I think this goes in the realm of theme that we've been talking about all season, Brett, and that is they haven't been communicating. They're not on the same page. They are constantly butting heads, and eventually it does need to get addressed. Why do we keep fighting? Why do we keep doing these things to each other? Why aren't we communicating? And why did we break up? And I like that the Shawn makes it clear to them. You think you broke up because you think that's what you're supposed to do.
because we're in high school.
Mm-hmm. But if what you're saying is it's the real deal, it's more than just high school, small petty things should not be enough to break you.
Gee, I think I heard someone said that. Anyway, but we do find out that Shawn did set this whole argument up.
He did.
Yeah.
But, Shawn grew up in a household that, for lack of better wording, probably had some love, but more lust than actual love. And
a lot of arguing.
A lot
of unfair arguing.
We'll get some interesting advice from him later on when Cory and Topanga get married that I do love. And so I'm excited to see when we get there. But I do like how this episode ends making clear of everyone is on the same page. They're able to move forward to actually at this point continue and move forward.
Yep.
Which brings me to my last point, Brett, as we are wrapping up this episode. With the amount of episodes they had, this should officially have been a 2-part episode. And to have aired not 3 weeks later, but the same night, one long episode, as they're trying to make clear of, yes, they're supposed to be together, but there's more complication because they're in high school. This isn't Jim and Pam who realize we like each other, let's date, let's get married. This is 2 people who have been playing house and playing pretend love for a while now and have very big, complicated emotions towards each other. And, in a way, his parents kind of give their blessing of, it's okay for you guys to have this more serious relationship. Just realize what that means. So I wish this would have been a 2-part because, spoiler alert, Brett, going back in the current a little bit, I didn't actually watch last week's episode before we recorded because I knew I know that one episode like the back of my hand. But I ended up watching them back together, like as almost like a one whole episode, one big 2-parter. And when you watch it like that, it really does fit well. I don't know if at the time it did that, but watching it simultaneously works really well, in my opinion. So I actually have to change last week's grade, Brett.
You're not allowed to.
Oh, I am. I'm going to do it. And my official recommendation now for that episode, it's an A. And I'll get to my grading later on, but I felt more positively about last week's episode this go around, even with all of the things we've been talking about and all the backdrop and everything. I feel much more positive than I thought I was going to. Yes, and we end, I believe, being in the classroom.
No, we end at Feeny's fence.
Sorry, yes, we ended Feeny's fence. My bad. Because they say, hey, Mr. Feeny, we're back together. Terrific. And then Shawn and Eric and Jack show up, and apparently Eric has really dived deep into the words of the day, and
He has increased his vocabulary tenfold.
how dare he increase his vocabulary, Brett? And apparently Jack needs him to break out of this, and so with 2 words, Brett, he snaps him out of it.
Have you perused the tasteful, how does he put it?
Livacious
Sports Illustrated issue on sale. Sports Illustrated issue. Tushies for sale. Cool. Oh, you're a really good teacher, Mr. Feeny.
Girl, right there, girl.
Yep. Well, when you live next door to a house full of psychos. Mr. Feeny. Yes.
You know, if this show came out now, there'd be at least one episode through Feeny's perspective of something going on over there, and him being like, do I walk out there? Do I not walk out there? Do I get involved? Okay, I'll wait till they go inside. I'm outside gardening. Mr. Feeny! Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, but with that, good-looking people, that's an episode.
Yes, that is an episode. And with that, good-looking people, Tyler, do you have any deep dives?
Oh, I got plenty.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
All right, Brett, let's start off strong. Communication from Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols and signs or behavior. Personal rapport. Information communicated, information transmitted or conveyed, verbal or written message, a system of transmitting or exchanging information, a system of routing or moving troops, supplies, or vehicles, personal exchange in communicating and personal engagement in transmitting or exchanging information. Basically, Brett, I'm bringing up communication because it's something we've talked a lot about. And I think Cory and Topanga have finally communicated.
Finally.
Now, we'll get some hijinks next episode, mostly because we're going with assumings.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about what happens when you assume. Let's see here. I guess we'll continue on the train of communication. So let's talk about 11 techniques successful couples use when they're arguing, according to relationship therapist. So Brett is gonna definitely throw you off, but you fight about more, or realize that you're fighting more than one issue at a time. So understanding that you might be fighting about something with your spouse, and your spouse might be fighting about 3 other things, and you need to be clear on what it is you're trying to argue / communicate about. So staying on topic and addressing separate issues later.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
if you need to get somewhere, Brett, and the argument is we need to get our butts in the car, let's talk about the things in the car that we need to discuss at the later time. You use language that places blame on the other person. Basically, that's a warning of like, hey, if you are blaming the other person for all the things, that's not good. So one of the ways you can help that, Brett, is use I statements when expressing how you feel. I feel we're not running on time. I feel upset. I feel angry. I feel disappointed. You use generalized terms like always or never. Basically, it's a warning of if you say, well, you always do this or you never do that. Those are not good things for us to do, Brett. So the best way to help that is to avoid hyperbolic language. Da-da-da-da-da. Cross your arms or avoid. Oh, so one of the things that happens, Brett, sometimes is we cross our arms or avoid eye contact. Apparently, it's scientifically proven if you cross your arms, you're less likely to hear what someone is saying. And if you're avoiding eye contact, then you also will avoid hearing what someone has to say. So basically, just let's be more mindful of our body language, which is something Cory and Topanga don't do.
They do not.
Criticizing your partner harshly too often. That's not helpful. And so instead of making constructive conversation, I don't like the way sometimes these websites do it. Makes it more confusing, Brett. Let's move on to a little history, and I'm going to send you this link, Brett, because I want you to be able to see it. Not today, of course, because what fun is that? Bam, bam. But basically, a general history on shopping is what I'm sending to you, Brett, of online shopping. And one of the things that we need to recognize is that online shopping was technically around before there was an online. And that was, the first form of it was people using the phone to order things and, use their credit card over the phone to buy stuff, which people still do now. But apparently in 1982, the first e-coms company was launched. 1992, the first online market for books was created. 1995, Amazon was launched. 1998, PayPal, Google Creatives or Google AdWords in 2000. 2005, Prime was launched. The first Cyber Monday was 2005 as well. 2007, smartphones were born. I think one of the most important things for us to admit, Brett, is that in 2020, we're enough far away that we can admit that the understanding of what it means to sell online just exploded. Less people being in stores, you get your needs from the store, but for the most part, a lot of the things you want and the things that are fun, you end up ordering. We've talked quite openly, I think, about your situation with your office space and how much of those things you replaced, Brett, came from online stores.
Indeed.
And we're even to blame, Brett, because if you want some great merch from dadsmeetworld, you got to go to our store.
That's right. dadsmeetworld.threadless.com.
Exactly. Brett, I have an article from Screen Rant. Here are some couples that were on and off again. The best on and off again couples, Brett. You want to throw out a guess or two about who might be on this list?
Oh, let's see. Ross and Rachel have to be on there.
Number one. Throw out another name.
Let's see. On again, off again. Darlene and David from Roseanne.
That was a great guess. They are not on this list.
Oh man. Are we talking just sitcoms or are we talking
We're
all of TV?
talking all TV. Mostly sitcoms, because that's a big trope in sitcoms, but some dramas also have this too.
I'm trying to think of shows that I watched that have couples that did that.
If it helps you, there's a little overlap between this week's and last week's game.
Let's see. Oh, Kelly and Ryan from The Office.
Yep. Kelly and Ryan are number 7.
Let's see. Are Topanga and Cory on there?
Number 10.
Well, I figure they broke up and got back together a couple of times.
So we got Cory and Topanga, number 10. Number 9 is Jane and Raphael from Jane the Virgin.
Never watched it.
Not a bad show. I know you'll love this show. Lorelai and Luke from Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever watched a full episode.
I know. I remember a lot of rants from you back in the day. Kelly and Ryan from The Office, and then you have Haley and Dylan from Modern Family, also from last week's episode. Jess and Nick from The New Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie and Ben from Never Have I Ever. That's a Netflix show, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
One of your favorite shows, Brett. Meredith and Derek from Grey's Anatomy.
Oy.
And then Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl.
Never watched an episode.
I figured. And then Ross and Rachel, number 1.
Yeah, that will forever be the top on again, off again relationship. Whew.
So Brett, I have the rankings, the results of the 1998 baseball season. Between the Orioles and Phillies. Do you want to take a gander at who had a better record?
Phillies and Orioles 98. I'm gonna guess the Orioles had a better record.
Well, you're right. So the Phillies finished at 57 and 87. So that was a few games under 500, and they finished third. Apparently, Terry Francona was the manager that year.
Oh.
And then you had the Baltimore Orioles finishing at 79 and 83, still under 500. They were fourth in the division. Of course, this is at a time period where the Yankees are just wrecking their division. Let's see. Yeah, so here's how that went down for their division that season. Tampa Bay Rays, 63 wins. Orioles, 79 wins. Blue Jays, 88 wins. Finally over 500. Red Sox, 92 wins. The New York Yankees, 114 wins.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when there's no salary cap.
Yeah. Hey,
you can literally buy wins.
Tribe, 98 wins. They won the division that year.
1998. They were only 3 years removed from their World Series appearance, man.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that is an interesting character thing. I'm sure they're just throwing it out there because I'm sure someone is a fan of the Orioles on their writing staff. But to put that on Amy would be so fascinating to me.
The fact that Amy knows baseball enough to be able to throw that out there as a dig is she's either much more attuned to baseball than we thought, or she is an Orioles fan.
Mm-hmm. So, Brett, they mentioned that they are 53 days into the breakup. So I just looked up, like, what would be 53 days for a child? So that's about 7 weeks old. So a 7-week-old baby, Brett, milestone should be what to know about feedings. Oh, sorry. I don't like how they do that. Okay. Continuing to gain weight, about 1.5 to 2 pounds a month. Passes a peak age of evening fussiness. Begins to bat at objects that are out of reach, like overhead toys or mobiles. May exchange gas more than usual. Tracks objects and people, especially with the horizontal eye movement. So, basically, if you got a 7-week-old baby, about the same age, same time frame as Cory and Topanga's breakup, that baby should be able to pay attention to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe that's what they needed, Brett, is they needed a little bit more time to cook. And Brett, finally, Jungle Gym versus Monkey Bars. bars. And again, I'll send you this so you don't tell me. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, no, not notes. Go back. Go back. Do it right. Okay, so when comparing monkey bars and climbing frames, jungle gyms are usually more spacious with an extensive range of features and play areas. They are typically found in outdoor playgrounds and are designed to cater to multiple children simultaneously. Monkey bars are suspended horizontal ladders that children can swing from one bar to another. In the early days of jungle gym's inceptions, its impact on children's playgrounds wasn't immediately recognized. While observing children may play on structures, some guy noticed their love for climbing and hanging upside down from their knees, mimicking monkey like behavior. People began referring to the horizontal ladder as monkey bars, stemming from way children use it to play. Playing on monkey bars not only provides. What the heck? This is not what it was saying earlier to me. It's claiming it's a ladder.
Yeah, it's a horizontally suspended ladder. That's the monkey bars.
Okay. I think maybe what we need to agree upon is maybe they're talking more of a climbing frame. Because a jungle gym would indicate that there's a lot more movement, much more things you can do. It's a multi-purpose playground, more different ways of playing. So really, when they talk about the monkey bars, Brett, they're talking about a climbing frame.
If I go online and I search for monkey bars, first of all, the Oxford Dictionary defines monkey bars as a horizontally suspended ladder. Secondly, if I go online and I want to buy monkey bars, I have and by the way, good looking people, this is a actual form of measurement. A butt ton of more options available to me that are horizontally suspended ladders or simple bars that would be hung in a horizontally suspended ladder form that are monkey bars. I gotta go a lot deeper to get I have like one option to me that is not horizontally
See, but
suspended
the
ladders.
structure in question, Brett, is more of a monkey bar than it is a true jungle gym. Because a jungle gym, from my 90s kid perspective, was you had a slide, you had multiple ways of climbing up it. There's more to it. There's maybe a swing attached to it. Like a jungle gym implies many different ways of playing, where that structure they have, you can only really just climb and then hang on it, which is what Cory's doing, is sitting there, quote unquote, hanging there when Topanga meets him.
You might call it that, but I'm gonna disagree. We can agree to
You
disagree,
could
but
disagree. But also, I'm willing to call it a climbing structure, but I'm not willing to call it a jungle gym.
well, we can agree to disagree, but we're just gonna take up time on the recording here.
Correct. So those are your deep dives, and I'm annoyed that the thing was disagreeing with me, even though I disagree with it. But climbing structure is what I'm going with for where they met each other.
All right, let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
What did we learn? I'm going to share what I learned is friendship only goes so far, and you should never gaslight your friends into doing something that is not their job. Seriously, don't ever put your, I've shared learnings before about you shouldn't put more weight onto certain things, like just last week, don't test your relationship with a simple what do you see in this painting. Don't don't put your best friend in a situation where they're responsible for saving your relationship or putting them into a situation where they're responsible for doing something that is not their job. Don't ask more of your friend than friendship is supposed to ask. What about you, Tyler? What did you learn?
If you're involved, Feeny. So you can't claim you're not involved because you are involved. You put yourself involved. So if for me as an adult, as I watch this episode, I go, I'm either involved in what's going on with the young people around me and participating and helping guide, or I'm not. And I can't claim that I'm not a part of the crazy train, the stupid idea train.
Woo woo.
Because the moment that Feeny didn't say anything to Shawn about them being back together was going along with it.
Mm-hmm. He did say he was too involved.
He is. He's too involved.
Yes, he's involved. Indeed. All right. Well.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
Well, time to grade this puppy. Tyler, why don't you talk about grades?
So as I said, last week I gave a wrong grade of a B+, and I need to make that an A. And the reason I'm giving it an A, Brett, is because it's a magical episode, and I'm on board. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of magic, and you need to let the emotions be what they are, Brett. And it's okay not to cut away to Eric with a funny gag. It's okay for this week to go back to Eric with a funny gag, and to be talking about residual. And also sassy Feeny this episode, Brett. With that said, I give this episode an A-.
All right. I'm going to give this episode, Honesty Night, a D+.
Boo.
Honestly, I very rarely go back and watch this one because it is such a filler. I don't enjoy watching Cory and Topanga gaslight Shawn and put so much on his shoulders and ask him to save their failed relationship that's already been mended and repaired, and have everyone around him that's important to him lie to him. It's a horrible setup to me, and it's a bad story plot for me. The only things that keep it from being an F for me are Alan and Amy and Sassy Feeny, and that one moment with Eric and Jack. Those are the three things that keep this from being a failing grade for me. Yeah, D+.
Well, unfortunately, Brett, you are wrong. You just are.
Hey, if you're going to argue that art is subjective, then I can give it a D+ and not be wrong.
I'm quoting Cory.
All right. Well, Tyler, I believe you owe me a dad joke before we sign off.
And, the dad joke that I am giving you, Brett, is brought to you by this dad joke book that my wife got me for Christmas. I was looking for this last time we recorded, but I couldn't find it. This time I found it, so here we go.
I got one for Christmas that's specific to cats and dogs, so I'll have to share some next week.
All right. Let's go with this one. No, I like this one better. What is smarter than a talking cat?
Smarter than a talking cat? I don't know what.
A spelling bee.
Yeah.
Then one more. Don't spell part backwards. It's trap.
All right.
With that, good looking people.
Yep, with that, good looking people, this has been an episode of Dads Meet World. So if you want to share your thoughts with us and tell us which one of us is right and which one of us is wrong, whether one of us is Cory, you can send us a message at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com via email, or if you just want a shorter one, you can find us on our social media profiles at dadsmeetworld, on Twitter/X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you can watch us on YouTube if you're not already. And hey, like we said, if you want some pretty cool swag, Dads Meet World hoodies, episode's gonna episode shirts, we've got hats, we've got mugs, stickers, magnets, all kinds of stuff, t-shirts. dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. So until next time, good looking. I'll see ya.
All aboard the stupid train.
Woo woo! Aw, I forgot that it did that.
Oh, that's not fun.
I'll see you, good looking.
Bye, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? Read the Bible. I want to be normal, Spud.
We are the Timmers.
Topanga. I want to be normal, Spud.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.